Today I'm going to talk about the soul bonds we have with animals, grief when they pass, and some tips and tricks for animal mediumship. Hi, if you don't already know me, my name is Shane, and I'm an animal communicator, spiritual healer, and intuitive coach. On my path lately, I've been talking about grief. Pet loss and pet grief sits very heavy on your spirit, soul, and body. But these bonds that we have with our animals do not break just because they've crossed over. I lost my soul dog in 2024. And when I lost her, it kind of put all the rest of the pieces together to be able to help people through their grief and help coach people on how that they can get messages from their animals. Because I do not think it's just a gift that you are born with, and either you have it or you don't. I think almost everyone has this capability, and especially when you have a bond with an animal, it really makes it kind of easy to be able to get messages because they want to send you love and support. And that does not change just because they crossed over. One of the problems that we have with mediumship is that we're very emotional because we're very sad and very heavy with this grief. So if you feel that you're very heavy and you haven't been able to receive anything because of this heaviness, I would recommend coming to me for a one-on-one session. I run some healing techniques. We talk to your animal. We do some coaching. It's kind of an all-encompassing hour video chat that we try to work through some of this heaviness. Because when you can release, especially like this heaviness that just like weighs on your chest, we can get that off, you can feel a little lighter, and things will be more easily come in. When we're through that initial grieving process, we've dealt with some of our heaviness and grief, it's much more easy to get messages. Now, you don't have to be super intuitive or feel that you're super intuitive to receive signs that your animal is around. Here are some of the very common ones that I hear people talk about all the time. You might hear little things. So maybe their nails on the floor, maybe a jingle from their collar, maybe like a heavy breathing or a bark or a meow. This is not your mind playing tricks on you. They are sending you a little message that they want you to know they are around and they are still around you. You might feel an emotion. You might all of a sudden just have a little memory and you feel joy that you remember a really happy time with your animal. They're sending you that memory and that joy. You might see them out of the corner of your eye, and when you look directly, you don't see anything, but you did see that little shadow or glimmer of something. Another common one is you feel them jump on the bed. We're more connected with our intuition right when we're falling asleep or waking up. There's a little space there where your brain is in the correct brain waves and you just have more visions and more feelings. So maybe right when you're falling asleep, you feel them jump on the bed. And last but not least, sometimes you just know. You can't explain it. No one else will believe you, but you just know they're there. That can sometimes be the hardest one to believe and trust. There also might be just synchronicities with certain insects or birds. I hear birds a lot, and dragonflies or butterflies. Those are the most common. Sometimes you just know that your pet has sent you one. Sometimes it's specifically a certain type of butterfly or a certain color, and every time you see one, you know it's them saying hello. You might also get other synchronicities as far as knowing when to adopt another pet, seeing something meaningful that just keeps popping up even when you're scrolling your phone or at a store shopping. And of course, also they can come to you in your dreams. Sometimes you'll just have a really good dream about them, which is also them visiting. So all of these instances, you don't really have to use your intuition very much, just synchronicities, keeping your eyes, ears open, that they just might be showing you that they're still around. Okay, now we'll move into tips and tricks about getting more concrete messages, maybe getting some of your questions answered, or for them to show you a direct sign. The first thing that we need to consider is being more emotionally neutral is easier for you to get messages in. That's why when we're so close to a situation and sometimes emotional about it, we can't trust the information we get. So to do this, what's going to help is making sure that you're centered and grounded. Now, I have a more in-depth video where I go into a lot more information about what grounding is, how to do it, and then a technique. But the general idea is just being connected to your body, connected to your environment, so that you can be more aware of little changes that happen. There's a lot of easy grounding techniques that don't take much time at all, and you should do them throughout the day so that you feel more regulated with your nervous system, your emotions, and your energy. The one that I like to do most often is walking in nature, but you can also put your feet on the ground. You can do a visualization of roots growing out of your feet. But even everyday activities can be grounding as long as you're being mindful and present. For example, taking a shower or bath and being aware that your body's in the water is hitting your body, and how it feels on your skin. So let's do just a quick grounding exercise so you can understand what it feels like. We're going to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now just picture those tree roots coming out of your feet and deep into the earth. Now we're going to talk about a little bit more about how information can come in different ways. For all of your 5 senses, there's basically another clair sense that is using one of those. So hearing, taste, smell, vision, and feeling. For example, my main clairs are feeling and knowing. So I can pick up on emotions of others. I can use my psychic abilities to know what someone's physically feeling in their body. And then sometimes I just get a thought pop into my mind, and I know that's the answer to my question. So most of the time, especially with media, movies, television, they make you feel like if you're not just seeing pictures or movies directly in front of your eyes, that your intuition isn't working. That is an extreme example that the majority of people do not have. You can develop it, you can practice it, and you can make it better, but that might not be your main gift. In fact, when I have images, it's not exactly an image, it's more like the idea of an image, the idea of the color or shape that it is. I also get a lot of lyrics to songs or little snippets of songs. And again, I'm not exactly hearing them, but it's the thought of the song. And I can even sort of hear it or have the idea of like the memory of the certain artist singing the song. So now that we know a little bit more about how our intuition can come in and we're grounded, I want you to know that anytime you'd like, you can do a quick grounding exercise. Sit quietly and ask your animal to come to you. The best thing is to use your main clairs specifically. So for me, because I know that I'm a feeler, I can literally call my soul dog Sammy and ask her to lay next to me. And in that, I can feel her there, feel her presence, and also actually feel the love that she sends me. Whenever you decide to practice, I want you to first ground and center. Then when you're nice and calm and regulated, ask them to come to you. You can picture them right in front of you. Then ask them to do something that they used to always do. For example, if they would come up to you and put their head in your lap, or come to you and curl up in your lap, ask them to do that. I think you'll be surprised by how many of you we'll be able to make this work fairly easily. And again, you might feel them there physically, or just know that they're there. I also find it very useful to ask questions. When you just come up with a blanket statement like, just show me anything, everything you get, you're just going to second guess. When you ask a specific question, like, what was your favorite thing that we used to do together? If you get a thought right after that that actually matches the question, that's going to be your answer. And what we do is record it. Because over time, with practice, that's going to be how you gain your confidence, how you know it's working. Because it's really these experiences that you can't really explain to anyone else that are going to be your truth and how you know it's working. No one else is going to sense or understand the way that you do. So that is my biggest secret, is that when I was trying to figure out how my messages came in, it was really just the thought that was the answer to the question. Okay, so we've discussed the grief and heaviness that comes with losing a soul animal. We've talked about how to connect with them. We've talked about some of the ways to connect to your intuition, some signs that they may already be visiting you. I hope you found this helpful. If you have questions about mediumship, put them in the comments below. I'd love to have a discussion about how you get your information. And let me know below if you found this helpful, because I want everyone to be able to talk with their animals without a medium, because it's really your special bond that makes it possible. And I want you to keep it going, even though they can't be here in the physical plane.